This is going to be an exciting makeover to transform this very ornate, unique Spanish style hutch into a very flamboyant, boho, artisan style design. The first thing I did was deep clean this piece really well. It did not have much of a glossy finish, and so there wasn't, like, it was almost down to the regular wood that had been stained. This piece it's estimated that it's from the 70s, maybe 70s, 80s. And so there wasn't really much of an existing glossy finish. And I was going to be using chalk paint. But one thing that I will say is that I took a lot of time to clean really well inside of all of the nooks and crannies and grooves. And the reason that I did that was because paint does not go over dirt well. And so that's something to keep in mind, that if you have something that's ornate, go ahead and try to take your time and get in, like, to clean it well and to get into all the grooves, because paint over dirt or grime or like a greasy area, especially a piece this old, it does not cover well, and it doesn't give you a very nice professional finish that you would desire. So I'm starting out by putting on just a really deep, rich pigment, vibrant red on this piece, and this is going to be my base coat. At this time right here, I do not have a specific idea. Like I don't have it all played out from start to finish exactly how this is going to look and where the different colors are going to go. I bought 4 colors to use on this as my primary colors, and I'm also going to be mixing some of those to give me some additional colors. The paint that I'm using is a Valspar. It's their Valspar colors, but it's Krylon Chalky Finish paint, which I get at Lowe's in a quart. It's about $20 a quart, and you go into Lowe's and you can pick from any Valspar color and just take it up to the paint counter and say, "I'd like this in the Krylon Chalky Finish paint," and it gives you access to so many different colors and color palettes that it's just amazing. So here's a view of the colors that I am using, and it is, the red is Fabulous Red. We have Sensual Jade, like an Orange Ochre, and then like a Rushing, I think it's Rushing Waters. And those were my 4 primary colors, and I knew that this piece, with all of its ornate detail, could handle a really very vibrant mix of colors and several colors. And now, and my goal for this overall goal was really to create something that's kind of Spanish, Portuguese in style. And so I wanted, like, as I was starting, because you're going to see this green color come in, and I had actually ordered, in the process of preparing this hutch, I had ordered some mud paint because I wanted to try it out, and I'd ordered this fabulous green color, and when it came in, I'm like, oh my goodness, this green is gonna look really, really good next to this red. So now I have 5 colors, and for this hutch, at this point in the stage, I don't know if I'm going to use them all, but I do like green and red together. I know that sounds kind of like a holiday theme, but outside of a holiday theme, I think that they offset each other and they complement each other so well. I think it's very oh, not really cheerful, but I think it's just very interesting, and how they look together. And so I am making green my second base color, and I just want to see what the whole hutch would look like. So one thing that I want to point out is the type of brush that I'm using. And when you're working on a piece with this much detail, especially on the areas where the green paint is going, it is hard to use a chip brush or a normal paintbrush into, because it's so the normal paintbrushes are so stiff, and so it's hard to get into all of the grooves and protruded areas of this. If you guys, I'm so distracted right now. If you hear noises in the background, my dog Gus is next to me and he is just snoring like a freight train. It's ridiculous. But the type of brush that I'm using is a goat hair brush. I think it's like a 2 to 3 inch brush. I get it at Hobby Lobby, and I think the goat hair brushes cost like around $6 to $8, and sometimes you can find them on sale 50% off. But I always keep 1 or 2 goat hair brushes around. I use those a lot too, not just to, they're so soft, and that's why it, like, a goat hair brush is ideal for getting into all the grooves of an ornate piece like this, because they're not stiff. It goes in really soft, almost, oh, like kind of spongy, like just going in there. And so, but I also love using, when I do like kind of old world type swirls and cloudy effects, like that mottled type of look, goat hair brushes are so good for that. They just super soft. The brush itself, like the bristles on it are, they're not bristles, they're hairs. It's goat hair, and it just goes on so soft, and it's so good for to use on more decorative pieces. And if you take care of it, a goat hair brush will last you a couple of years or so. So now I'm doing the top of this, and I'm sorry that I can't show you. It's just up too high. I have it on a furniture dolly, and just to make it easy to move around, it just makes it too tall for the camera to get up there and see until I remember to get a better tripod. But I want to tell you, when you're doing the top, you may have to go back and forth in smaller strokes just to get the paint on. But after that, when you're doing a long flat surface, you want your brush to go all the way across, like to even out your paint strokes. So long flat brush strokes all the way across after you have your paint on to even everything out. So I am just continuing on with applying the red, and then I'll go back over and do the green and its spots too, and we'll kind of fast forward and see how that comes about. Let's go ahead and talk about spindles. I'm not using any certain brush on the spindles. I'm just using a regular chip brush. I don't think there's any one rhyme or reason or, a specific way to do spindles. You have to just figure out what works best with you, for you, and how, like, the movement of your wrist and hand that you're comfortable with. For me, going back and forth horizontally and then working my way up and down, like, I get the best results. Like, it seems like I'm able to do it quicker, instead of, like, I just swish back and forth left to right instead of painting up and down. I know some people that, they like painting vertically, and for me it's a little harder to get into the corners and the grooves when I paint vertically. And so painting left to right, horizontally, is like the most efficient way for me to paint spindles. And here we have the finished product finished product at this point of a red and green combination. And I have to tell you, I was so torn whether I should stop here or keep going. My mom has said to me many times, she's like, I don't know how you know when to stop when you're working on some of these elaborate pieces. And so I decided that I needed to keep going to see what all this piece could be. And if it turned out to be something that I didn't like, I could always come back over and do the red and green again and still have some beautiful peaks and layers of colors underneath. So at this point, the only plan I have is to use my initial vibrant bold colors and to apply them in random spots. And I know that these colors all complement each other, and I'm weighing heavily on that. And I'm just going to take this moment to say that that is probably 85% of my strategy at all times when I work on a piece of furniture, an artistic piece or a very detailed piece, is I rely on the colors to work well and to carry the artistic value, to carry the appeal. And so to me, it's not always how the colors go on so much as how the colors work together and complement each other. So here's what we're doing now at this point is beginning to put on, I'm going on with my yellow, and I'm going to start mixing in some other colors, and we'll see how it goes. I am taking care to make sure that my inside is going to be just as artistic and vibrant as the outside. So I don't want somebody to have like to look at the front of this Hutch and to see all these beautiful, vibrant, bold colors mixed together in this unique fashion, and then to open up the doors and find something much less vibrant and much less unique on the inside. So I want, unless I'm working with a really straightforward piece, on a piece like this, when you open up the cabinet doors, like I want them to be just as unique and pretty and filled with interest as it is on the outside. I'm working on this and applying the yellow. I am not trying to be like neat and prim and proper. I am 100% okay, and I even kind of want it to overlap on the spindles onto the doors. That's going to give me that really kind of rustic, primitive, aged, old world style that I love and that I'm going for. And I would say too, it's just very much a boho style as well. And so if you have colors, like you'll see times where it overlaps and gets to the side, and I just call that kind of a artistic messiness. Like there's a time to employ that technique, and then there's a time to have restraint and to tape things off or to use an artist detail brush to remain in the lines. But this type of style, you want to color outside of the lines. This color that's going on next is a Valspar color. I guess you could call it a turquoise. It's like rushing streams or rushing waters or something like that. If you need to know the color name, you can find it in the swatches earlier in the video, or feel free to go ahead and message me or whatnot, and I can get it for you. I think it's a really pretty kind of tropical, Mediterranean type of turquoise type blue. And so like we're going to go ahead and we're going to start layering that on into different areas. And again, no real plan here, just adding it into some random parts. I'm not wanting a lot of uniformity. I know that I'm going to most likely be coming over this with some other colors. So I'm trying this out. Do I like this color as like a topper cap? You know, do I like it on the top crest of this? And ultimately, I do end up changing it to this darker yellow. And so well, I wanted you to see like the whole process, because sometimes you're like, no, this color didn't work here. When you're doing this type of style, it is okay to paint over something you didn't like. It's just going to show those many layers and those colors speaking through. You cannot mess it up. You just can't. You keep going until you get what you like. And I would say one caution about this is to watch like layering too much around your doors or drawers that open and close, because what you could end up having is like such a buildup of paint that your doors won't open and close the way they should. But in other areas, and that really includes like on top of the doors and on the bottom of the doors and where they close, and close to around the drawers. So, but other than that, it's okay to layer, it's okay to experiment, and you're like in cooking, you know how you keep adding things to develop. You may add garlic, you may add lemongrass to a broth, you may add, you know, your vegetables and slow cook them, and your different seasonings, and in cooking you're developing your flavors. And this is very, very similar. This is done, you're developing your style, you're developing your own sort of boho technique, and you're developing your layers and colors and really seeing like how it's working for you. Trust me, guys, 100% of this technique is an experiment, and it's okay to experiment. That's part of art, and what art is experimenting and stretching and growing and creating something new and developing your style. And this is the whole process right here unfolding. So we're just going to speed up a little bit, kind of skip around just a little for the sake of, because this Hutch took quite a while of time, and I don't want this video to be like so long that it's unreasonable. So we're going to kind of skip to different parts, and I'm going to show you the overview of how the colors go on. This point, I was trying to decide how I like the color scheme at the top with the grassy green and then the yellow and this turquoise. And I think it looks okay, but I'm not completely in love with it. So I know I need to bring in some red and some corals and some other colors to make this a little bit more Mediterranean. And if it confuses you, like why I say Mediterranean, it's because like the whole coast of the Mediterranean is very vibrant. It's where you're going to find a lot of your Spanish styles, where you're going to find your French country, Riviera styles, a lot of tropical styles, Portugal. It's just, you're going to have all these vibrant cultural influences with lots of color. Hi, everybody. So I went and added like an orangey coral. So what I did is I put some orange here, and then like a coral orange, and then I went over it with the red to darken it up a little bit. And I'm playing with colors right now to see what's working, what's not. Um, I'm uncertain at this point. I don't know. Do I like the top part better? The bottom part? I need to keep going. I'm at a loss right now. We're going to see how this plays out. And there you have it. This is the truth about a very big ornate piece. When you're using a lot of colors, it is easy to lose your way. And so I always have this spot, like this moment where I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm on the right track. This is the path that I need to be on. At this point, I have not quite found it with this. As I've added the blue, the changes that I'm making, like I'm starting to like find my way to that path, but I wouldn't say I'm on it quite yet. The going around all the doors in this turquoise, and as these colors start to come together, I'm kind of beginning to get an ideal. The introduction of the coral and darkening it a little bit with the red really started to help me. But I wouldn't say at this point I had quite yet found my, like, the groove that I wanted to find with this piece. And so my encouragement to you is, if you find yourself there, like, I don't know what to do next, or this isn't what I thought, keep going. No, you're not the only one. This is a very common occurrence. It is all truly part of the artistic process. And don't forget, you're making artistic furniture. It is definitely going to be a process. So at this point, I have stopped working with one color at a time, and I'm going back and forth, layering my colors back and forth together. And this really helps me start to figure out where I want to be with this piece. Actually, I found my way, and it really came through putting the blues together. I darkened up my blues, lightened some corals, let some bright red come through. Once I started working with the colors all together and not just one at a time, I found my way with this piece, and I loved how it turned out. It's very kind of Spanish, Portuguese, boho, messy type of style, full of vibrant color and character and some old world charm, and I just couldn't be happier with it. Thank you so much for coming along on this journey with me.